In a world dominated by corporate giants, where blockbuster media properties reign supreme, there exists an extraordinary tale that defies the odds. A story of two young artists, a living room, and a comic that shattered expectations. Prepare to be amazed as we uncover the secret behind how a little indie creation surpassed the might of the Avengers and carved its place among the highest-grossing media properties of all time. Welcome to the extraordinary journey of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where passion, talent, and $1,000 loan ignited a phenomenon that would leave the world shell-shocked. In the world of media properties, there are iconic names that dominate the charts, usually associated with big companies and massive investments. However, nestled among the giants at number 20 lies an extraordinary story of success against all odds. It all begins when two young individuals, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, defied the odds by creating a violent black and white comic about Teenage Mutant Turtles skilled in ninjutsu. With a $1,000 loan from Eastman's uncle, they started their own publishing business and brought their indie comic to life. Against all expectations, their creation, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, surpassed even the Avengers in financial success, becoming a global phenomenon. Let's dive into this inspiring story that showcases the power of passion, creativity, and entrepreneurship in transforming a small indie comic into a cultural phenomenon. A fortuitous meeting and a shared love of comics. In 1981, a 19-year-old aspiring comic artist named Kevin Eastman found himself working at a restaurant in Maine, boiling lobsters to make ends meet. Despite his current circumstances, Eastman's deep desire to pursue a career in comics burned within him. In his free time, he voraciously consumed various comic books, with a particular admiration for the legendary Jack Kirby. Eastman's relentless quest for interest in comics led him to discover a local self-published comic magazine called Scat. Intrigued by its content, he reached out to the creators and formed a connection with one of the main artists, Peter Laird. The budding friendship between Eastman and Laird took flight when Eastman visited Laird's place and spotted a cherished piece of original Jack Kirby artwork adorning the wall. Despite an 8-year age gap, Eastman and Laird swiftly bonded over their shared love for comics and indulged in their mutual appreciation for bad television shows. Both of them harbored dreams of becoming comic book artists. As their friendship deepened, Eastman eventually moved in with Laird, and their modest lifestyles continued, with Eastman working at restaurants and Laird scraping by creating illustrations for local gardening magazines and newspapers. A light-hearted idea takes shape. Eastman and Laird shared a common dream of landing a job at Marvel, DC, or another major comic publisher. One night, Eastman sketched a turtle with nunchucks strapped to its arms, aiming to elicit laughter from Laird. Laird added the words Teenage Mutant after Eastman had jokingly titled the illustration Ninja Turtle. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles concept would ultimately enjoy enormous popularity at this crucial juncture, right at its very birth. Recognizing the potential of their creation, Eastman and Laird decided to transform the sketch into a full-fledged comic. They expanded their casts of characters, multiplying the turtles by 4. Each turtle was given a name based on Renaissance painters, while their personalities were inspired by themselves and their friends. Laird's own traits were reflected in Donatello, the reserved and technical-minded turtle. Relationships and creative partnership. Donatello is played by Eastman as the tech nerd, while Raphael is played by Laird as their fiery personality. The second element of TMNT's popularity is the decision to give all 4 turtles the same character design. The story's central theme is friendship, both in terms of the relationship between Eastman and Laird and the companionship among the turtles themselves. To flesh out the turtles' origin story, Eastman and Laird infused the comic with elements they loved. As fans of Daredevil, they positioned the Turtles' genesis just outside the frame of Daredevil's own origin, with the same mutagenic goo responsible for Matt Murdock's powers inadvertently dripping onto the Turtles. The connections continue as Daredevil's mentor, Stick, inspired the Turtles' own sensei, Splinter, and just as as Daredevil confronts the Hand, the Turtles battle their nemesis, the Foot Clan. The partnership between Eastman and Laird was a tribute to their favorite artists, notably Jack Kirby. They collaborated on the penciling, inking, and shading while sitting side by side and passing each page back and forth. Through their unconventional partnership, Eastman and Laird introduced a number of ideas that would eventually be profoundly ingrained in popular culture, producing astounding effects. Their ability to work together creatively and willingness to use unusual techniques enabled them to develop and create concepts that would enthrall audiences for years to come. Future uncertainty and unexpected success. The colourful imaginations of two friends making fun of one another, the Turtles, Splinter, the Ooze, and the Sewers, came to life in their independently published comic. Even though it was just their living room, they titled their publishing business Mirage Studios and produced 3,000 copies of their comic using a loan from Eastman's uncle. They initially thought that unsold copies would accumulate on their shelves, but Destiny had other ideas in mind. Unexpectedly, the 3,000 copies of TMNT 1 were shortly gone. They started a second print run of 6,000 copies, which likewise sold out, inspired by the response. Due to their final success, they were able to pay Eastman's uncle back and still had some money left over. Eastman went back to working as a lobster cook in Portland, and Laird's wife found work in Connecticut, so they split up. Their destinies were changed. Nevertheless, by the unexpected high demand for their comic, as sales of TMNT 1 increased, Eastman was forced to go back and forth between Portland and Connecticut to work on issue 2. They worked on it for months before finishing it and printing an initial run of 15,000 copies, all of which were immediately sold out. Issue 1 was reissued, and an additional 30,000 copies were sold as a result. They released issue 3 with a print run of 50,000 copies as the enthusiasm carried on. Having achieved their dream of making a living, albeit a modest one, by drawing comics, they made the daring decision to quit their jobs. Eastman relocated to Connecticut, devoting himself to issue 3. They were now living their passion. However, the path ahead remained uncertain, as they had yet to grasp what the future held. Unleashing creative potential. The quality and creativity of Eastman and Laird's early comics cannot be overlooked amidst discussions of their business success. It is essential to recognize the sheer brilliance of these comics and the immense energy they exude. With no external editor or boss dictating their creative choices, they unleashed their imaginations and did whatever they pleased. For instance, they attempted to make the longest vehicle chase in comic book history in issue 3, and they were successful. The sequence's staging, location, and tempo are expertly carried out, displaying their mastery of narrative. Even if some of their drawings may be crude, it did not prevent them from wanting to explore the limits of the comic medium. Their innovative storytelling distinguished them from the peers in the Western comic scene of the 1980s. While the influence of manga on their work at the time is unclear, their storytelling exhibited a distinct flair. They not only delivered great storytelling but also channeled their hero, Jack Kirby, in terms of the pace of invention. Each issue introduced new and memorable characters and concepts. April O'Neil, Baxter Stockman, the Mousers, the TCRI aliens, and Casey Jones. By the 5th issue, the Turtles were even venturing into space, encountering aliens and robots. Their comics were infused with a pure sense of joy, stemming from the excitement of making a living by drawing comics alongside their friend. This infectious fun permeated every page and resonated with readers. Navigating creative control and licensing, Eastman and Laird, creators of the Turtles franchise, are approached by licensing agents with offers of lucrative TV shows and toys. However, they rejected the agent's demand for exclusivity in long-term contracts, knowing that this will have both positive and negative consequences down the road. They understand the importance of retaining control over their creation, which will have both positive and negative consequences in the future. Enter licensing agent Mark Friedman, who offers them a 30-day non-exclusive deal to showcase his capabilities. Recognizing the pattern of the Turtles franchise attracting underdogs, it's worth noting that Friedman himself was not a high-profile agent. In fact, he had to rent a suit and tie for his meeting with Eastman and Laird. Within the given time frame, Friedman secures a deal with Playmates, a doll manufacturer looking to challenge industry giants like Hasbro and Mattel in their action figure market. Thus, Playmates becomes an underdog in its own right. An animated television series with 5 episodes is is created by Eastman and Laird. They settle on smoothing off the jagged edges, adding vibrant bandanas, emphasizing pizza, and reducing the brutality, gritty appearance, and characteristic phallic tails. They are adamant about sticking with their original black and white comic because they think the Turtles will always exist in their own unique way. Turtle Mania and the power of the Turtles franchise. Turtle Mania engulfed the late 1980s, turning the Turtles franchise into a remarkable success story, but ultimately leading to unforeseen consequences. The television show and action figures became a massive hit, captivating the imaginations of children nationwide. Despite the changes made to the original concept, the show effectively translated the fun of energy of the comics into animated form and plastic toys. Kids were ecstatic, and the show quickly rose to become the top-rated children's program, airing nearly every day of the week, while toy stores struggled to keep up with the demand. The Turtles franchise emerged in a unique time, situated between the cornball 80s-ness of shows like He-Man and Thundercats and the edgier animation style of the 90s and the anime invasion. Its distinctive nature is often overlooked due to the subsequent wave of shows attempting to replicate its success. Meanwhile, Mirage Studios experienced financial growth, with Kevin Eastman even purchasing a tank, and licensing deals continued to pour in. Eastman and Laird's Mirage Studios comic for this time period shows how their inventions took over popular culture. Jack Kirby lives above the Turtles and attaches a stone to his pencil to bring his paintings to life. Donatello joins Kirby and they go through a portal to a realm made up of his own illustrations. Kirby must overcome his artistic block to fight back, but Donatello is successfully saved, but Kirby is stuck in the world of his own drawings forever. The rising success of the Turtles franchise. Their work on the comic book deteriorated tremendously as Eastman and Laird's relationship continued to worsen. They had limited time to concentrate on the comic due to the obligations of running the business, which led to a creative rift. By the 9th issue, their relationship had deteriorated to the point that they would continuously postpone projects by wiping off each other's designs and sketching over them. They didn't realize that specific problems for 4 months and their working environment had degenerated into an uncomfortable mess of conflicts. In an attempt to mend their fractured relationship, they relocated the Turtles from New York City to Northampton, Massachusetts, where the characters found themselves broken and defeated. Each Turtle was coping with their failure individually, and the melancholic atmosphere in the comics reflected the struggles within their partnership. The journal entry for April, expressing the importance of real friends and finality, hinted at the emotional state of one or both of the creators. The comic they produced together as real partners up to issue 10 was their last. They chose to publish the comic in alternating years to avoid direct collaboration, leading to a decline in quality. They briefly reunited with a 3-issue run but eventually stepped away from the comic. The Turtles franchise continued to thrive with a movie in production, an ongoing show, and toys and video games. Larry desired to slow down and savor their accomplishments, but Eastman's relentless nature compelled him to pursue more ventures beyond Mirage. The divergence in their goals and aspirations further strained their relationship, although they were bound together by their shared success. Peter Laird's revival of the TMNT comics. Peter Laird took charge of the TMNT franchise and established a museum for comic art and launched a second publishing company called Tundra. He also acquired Heavy Metal magazine and assumed its management. Mirage published numerous comics, but neither Eastman nor Laird played a major role in their creation. They briefly reunited for issue 50, but only managed to produce 1 issue together before Eastman departed again. After the completion of the original TMNT comic 62-issue run, Laird departed as well. Turtle Mania was waning, and Playmates scaled down its toy production, and the rights to the comics were transferred to Image Comics, who presented a gritty and grim take on the Turtles. The TMNT franchise was revived with a live-action TV reboot titled The Next Mutation. However, a major falling out occurred between Eastman and Laird during development, leading to Eastman selling his share of the Turtles to Laird and distanced himself from his creation. Peter Laird then took the reins once again and released a new TMNT comic published by Mirage. This comic showcased Laird's vision for the Turtles, offering a black and white sci-fi and at times serious and slopey tone. It embraced an independent and indie comic style. the revival, and the renaissance. Peter Laird resurfaced as the sole owner of the Turtles franchise, injecting new life and creativity into the series. This led to the development of a new animated series that embraced more violence, action, and long-form story arcs. Playmates resumed toy production, and in 2007, a new TMNT film hit theaters. However, Laird eventually stepped back as the comic book's pace slowed and the animated show reached its conclusion. In a historic move, he sold the rights to the Turtles to Viacom, marking the first time neither Eastman nor Laird had control over the creation after 25 years. Viacom and IDW Publishing signed a deal to release new Turtles comics in a fresh continuity, with Kevin Eastman as a co-writer and layout artist. This collaboration resulted in compelling stories and continued success. Eastman's involvement expanded beyond the comics, with his participation as a consultant for the new TV show and movies. Peter Laird's presence had been absent from the ongoing TMNT journey, but the TMNT legacy remained shaped by the enduring partnership and contributions. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, co-created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, had experienced a remarkable journey of success, challenges, and reinvention. Their perseverance and dedication to fans and creative teams have allowed the Turtles to evolve and capture the hearts of new generations. Thank you for watching, and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video.